What is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video. And in this one, we are going to be giving grades to each selection for the New England Patriots 2021 NFL Draft Class. You guys love this yearly video. I love also making these videos. And like always, this video will also be a part 2 about a year from now, probably a little bit less. Usually around when the season ends is when we'll kind of go back to these grades and give our gradings to the Patriots draft class a year later when we actually got to see them play, got to see them in action. So those grades are very much based off of how they performed and how they ended up fitting in the Patriots system. This is all about the value, the scheme fit. How are they going to be for the Patriots depth-wise? So without further ado, let's just hop right into this. So in the first round, 15th overall, the Patriots selected quarterback Mac Jones. This is an easy A+ for me. Now, you either love Mac Jones or you hate Mac Jones. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm going to say it 1,000 times more. Half of Pats Nation dipped when Mac Jones got drafted, and the other half was just jumping in joy. Is Mac Jones the most athletic? No. Is Mac Jones going to be the most physically gifted quarterback in this class? No. But he is easily, hands down, the best fit for the Patriots, and this is something that I've been saying ever since this whole draft process started. The Patriots have ran their system, their offensive system, and their offensive scheme, rather, around Tom Brady for the last 2 decades. Now, when they brought in Cam Newton, obviously that is a direct system change. You know, and they tried to do a lot of the same things they did with Tom Brady with Cam Newton, and that did not work out at all because they're two very different players. Now, do a lot of teams still use and value a pure pocket passing quarterback? No, not all teams do, but that's really just based off of, look, what do certain teams like to do? What do they feel will make them the most successful? But just because not every single team uses a pure pocket passer doesn't mean that it's dead. And the Patriots are one of those teams that still very much values a pocket passing quarterback. Now, if they drafted somebody like a Trey Lance or a Justin Fields, you're still going to have to change that offensive playbook, your scheme, to now make that more based around, a mobile quarterback, more RPOs, more play action, quarterback draws. And to me, it was very clear that the Patriots are still kind of in that Tom Brady system scheme, that kind of a pocket passer, stand tall in the pocket, pass the ball, and make the plays in the passing game type of scheme with their quarterback, and not necessarily your Cam Newtons of the world. Some people, some fans especially, just got way too hyped up on this idea that you have to be mobile to be successful, and it's just a bunch of BS, and if that's something that you live in, I'm here to tell you that it's not true. You know, and if Bill Belichick, the smartest coach in the NFL and just one of the best coaches of all time, doesn't value that in a quarterback, then there's no reason you should or feel the need to either. In the end, you want a guy who's going to do exactly what you want to do with your offense. If you can get a guy who fits exactly into what you want to do, you're going to be successful. Mac Jones is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in this entire draft class. I've seen some people put him at 1, some people have him at 2. But if you don't put him at 1, he's definitely the second best accurate quarterback in this entire draft class. He's also hands down the smartest, and I don't see how you can make that argument. That's not, as a Pats fan, this is something that I've said even in the draft process before the Patriots selected him, that he is the smartest quarterback. He makes the best decisions. He has a 4.0. I also believe he has his master's degree also. If I'm saying that correctly, I believe it's his master's that he already has also. He's somebody that does not get spooked by pressure. You know, pressure really doesn't faze him. He still stands tall in the pocket and makes his read. He gets the ball out fast. He can make a read within a split second. He's going to be the closest thing to Tom Brady. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but he's going to be the closest thing to him that the Patriots were going to be able to get. And honestly, after everything I heard, it sounds like Mac Jones has always been the guy for the Patriots. Even if, let's say, a Justin Fields was there for the Patriots and Mac Jones was there, from what I'm hearing, the Patriots still would have went with Mac Jones. He's also coming from a head coach from Alabama in Nick Saban. Sorry for that little pause there. My microphone kind of cut out for a second. But coming from a coach of Nick Saban in the Alabama offense that has throughout the years become a very much heavy pass attack offense versus what it was, let's say, a few years ago, which was a run-heavy offense. Alabama and the Patriots offense, their scheme, both offensively and defensively, are very similar, and that's why Belichick and Nick Saban are very close. I also believe that there's no way that Nick Saban would have told Belichick to go ahead and draft Mac Jones and give him the okay if he truly thought that it wasn't going to be a smart move. In the end, Mac Jones gives the Patriots every single thing that they look for in a quarterback, well, just about every single thing, and you needed your future guy, you needed your franchise guy, and they potentially got that guy here. With all of these quarterbacks being stacked up in the AFC East, the Patriots needed to get on board with that, and they did. Now, next up here in the second round, the New England Patriots traded up in the second with the Cincinnati Bengals. The Patriots got pick 38, and the Cincinnati Bengals received the 46th pick, so the Patriots' original second-round pick and 2 fourth-round picks. They traded up to get defensive tackle Christian Barber, and I'm going to give this one an A-. I loved this pick. Excellent selection by the Patriots. Is it necessarily a move that I was expecting? No, I can't say it was. It definitely threw me off. I didn't think that this was ultimately going to be a move that the Patriots made, but the Patriots got a first-round pick in the second round. Every single mock draft I've seen, every expert that I've seen, has had Christian Barber going in the first. Now, they, of course, all had him going in different places, but I hadn't really seen anybody having Christian Barber drop to the second, and that is a big reason based off the fact that he's the best defensive lineman, the interior defensive lineman in this entire class. It's a weak D-line class, and Christian Barber was the best. So they're actually saying that Barber has the potential to be one of the best defensive tackles outside of a Quinnen Williams that we have seen in the last few drafts. Now, I actually had Christian Barber drafted to the Patriots in, I believe, one or two of my mock drafts before at the 15th overall pick. Now, if they picked him at 15 overall, I wouldn't be too happy with the selection, but it's something that I could have seen Bill Belichick do. So the fact that they got him in the second, I believe, is just excellent value, and it just staples the Patriots' defensive line that had a lot of issues last year, and even over the last couple of years has had some issues. I feel like for years we've been asking Bill Belichick to go up in the higher rounds and grab a pure defensive tackle. You know, with the Patriots DTs, a lot of the time, it's either you got a guy that can stop the run or you got a guy that can get to the quarterback. Most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, you don't have a guy who is actually able to do both. With Barber, you have a guy who's, of course, going to be able to rush the passer, get to the quarterback, but also is a big body in the middle, can help stop the run, plug the middle of the field, but also is going to be able to help make plays in the backfield in the running game. Now, I do believe that there definitely were higher needs for the Patriots, but I believe that this is just an excellent point on where the Patriots just scouted pure talent and value versus just a need that they had. You know, you don't want to push for a guy just to say you fulfilled a need, and I think that's, you know, one of the reasons that they went with Barber. Did they necessarily need him this year? Not necessarily. They definitely could use him, but they did add a lot of good pieces. Again, like I said, he definitely solidifies that defensive line, and he's going to be a big part, I believe, if not next year, then definitely within the upcoming years. Barber does have some consistency questions, which is also what dropped this a little bit. Some games he's going to go out there and just ball out, and the next you're going to ask, where the heck was Christian Barber? The other part of this, of course, is the fact that the Patriots did give up 2 fourth-round picks. Some would say that's a lot. Some would say that that's perfectly fine, and I've gotten both comments on both sides of that spectrum. Now, I do believe the Patriots could have gone another route. Like, they could have given up maybe a 4th and a 5th, and maybe, you know, they could have gone in so many different rounds. I don't necessarily think that they had to give up 2 of their 3 fourth-round picks, but at the same time, you know, they had to condense the amount of draft picks that they had. They weren't going to use all 10. The Patriots had 3 fourth-round picks. They weren't going to use all 3 of those fourths, so I think this is kind of the best way that they thought, okay, This is a way that we can definitely get the Bengals to pry out of their second round pick by giving them good value, and we go up and get our guy by also condensing these picks. So from just a pure draft capital standpoint and what these points are worth, yeah, the Patriots did overpay a little bit, but they are getting a first-round talent, the best defensive tackle in the class. So, I mean, really, I'm not complaining. Now, next up here, the Patriots went defense right after they get Christian Barmore, and they go right back to the defensive line. So the Patriots in the third round decided to draft defensive end Ronnie Perkins, 96 overall. And I'm going to give this one a B+. I think that this move definitely has a lot of potential, but I definitely can't say that it was the most needed. Just like I said with Christian Barmore, the same thing applies here with Ronnie Perkins. I believe that they purely went with value from a talent standpoint versus, hey, we have a need at wide receiver. Hey, we have a need at corner. Let's address it here. They thought, you know what? We're going to get more out of Ronnie Perkins. Ronnie Perkins is a more talented player than what we could get at wide receiver or what we could get at cornerback. Has pretty decent size, has a really, really good length. He's somebody that is also very good at stopping the run and also at getting pressure. He's the only player in college football that had a 90+ grade at both stopping the run and also at rushing the passer. The Patriots also got another steal. Just like they did with Barmore, Ronnie Perkins was another steal for the Patriots. I saw some people having him go early in the third, and some people had him going in the second, and the Patriots got him at the end of the third. There are some concerns with, okay, how exactly is he going to translate to the NFL? There are some serious concerns that some people do have with him. But some of the other concerns that I personally have, not necessarily with him, was just the factor of, well, how exactly is he going to get on the field? When I was doing my mock drafts, I definitely didn't have the Patriots drafting a defensive end high in the draft, and I don't even think I had them drafting a defensive end, just because the Patriots are loaded at the defensive end position. Let's remember, there's only 2 ends that you can play at. You have Matthew Judon, who for the most part sets the edge. You brought back Kyle Van Noy, who really sets the edge. Dante Hightower, he sets the edge. Not to mention you have a Dietrich Wise. You also have a Josh Uche, Chase Winovich. You also got Henry Anderson. Like, you have so many guys here at the edge position for you. I think the Patriots are stacked. I think that is one of the biggest depth positions that they currently have on their roster. So my concern here, and I think that's kind of what brings my grade down slightly, is just how exactly is he going to get on the field? Now, maybe we see a trade of a player, and maybe this move makes more sense. But as of right now, obviously you're sitting at a point where you're just like, with all of these guys here, with all of these guys that have experience over a Ronnie Perkins, how exactly is he going to get on the field? And in the third round, obviously, that is a position in which you're drafting a guy that you feel is going to be a year one, honestly, plug-in kind of starter and difference maker for you. I mean, outside of that, though, they are still getting an excellent player, and they're getting a guy who, again, is just excellent value. A guy who some people had going early in the third, a lot of people had going in the second, and you get him at the end of the third. Now, next up here, in the fourth round, the New England Patriots selected a running back in Ramondre Stevenson. Some people, for some reason, were surprised the Patriots drafted a running back this high, and I told you guys, watch from rounds 3 to like 5. Rounds 3 to 5, I truly believed the Patriots were going to grab a quarterback. And I did believe kind of that fourth round area. That's kind of where I usually had. Between 4 and 5 is usually where I kind of drafted a running back in my mock drafts. And that's exactly what they did. Now, they definitely went a different route than I was expecting. I was not expecting them to go out and get Ramondre Stevenson. But then doing my homework on him after he was drafted, he just makes a ton of sense for the Patriots. And that's why he gets an A. Now, some people do feel that the Patriots may have pushed slightly for Ramondre Stevenson, but I'm okay with it because of just everything that he brings to the Patriots. And again, if this is your guy, then this is your guy. He has a very good build, and I've seen comparisons from a LeGarrette Blount all the way to a Jamal Charles. If the Patriots can get that type of running back, I think it's an excellent fit because, truthfully, the Patriots have not had that type of running back since a LeGarrette Blount. And I've been asking every year for the Patriots to go back out and grab a guy like that. I also think that they shied away from some of these other guys that we've talked about, a Chris Evans or a Demetric Felton, who are very good pass-catching running backs, but guys who aren't too great at pass blockers, impact blockers, potential run blockers for the Patriots, and Ramondre Stevenson is able to do that. He's a very good blocker, so whether the Patriots want to use him as a pass blocker, whether they want to use him as a running back, they're going to be able to do so. He's very versatile within his game. And that's something that Bill Belichick, the Patriots coaching staff, they love. Because if the defense is showing something and they got to switch it from a run play to a pass play or pass play to a run play, Ramondre Stevenson is the guy who they can put in and be an every down running back because he fills all of those needs and he can pick up the blitz if he needs to. He's a very good runner. I think that he is more a north to south type of runner rather than being an east to west runner rather than being a north to south runner. And honestly, I think that's a kind of position the Patriots needed to add. I feel like we have a lot of running backs who play their game just running up the middle. We needed some guys who can go more on the outside. Now, Ramondre Stevenson can play both up the middle and on the outside, but I do think that he is more experienced, and from a lot of the highlights I've seen, he does better when going kind of east to west. But like I mentioned, someone who can pick up the blocks, who can pick up the blitz. Also somebody that has experience as a pass catcher. Now, he isn't going to be a Chris Evans or a Demetric Felton at all. He's not going to be your next James White. Not at all. But he can play that LeGarrette Blount role. He can do checkdowns. He can do screens. So he can do these simple little pass catches, which, hey, that's something Sony Michel wasn't able to do. Now, he isn't going to burn you with his speed, but he does have good agility. He can get up the field, but he is very shifty. He isn't just going to be a pound the ball, run you over type of running back, which, believe it or not, is essentially what the Patriots have for the majority. Sony Michel, Damien Harris, they are considered power backs, but with Ramondre Stevenson, one of the best traits they said about him is how shifty he is. This guy's like a Dion Lewis, James White. He brings that shiftiness, but he's a very big back. He can stop on a dime, but he brings that gigantic size to him. Could the Patriots redshirt Stevenson? Sure. But honestly, I feel like he brings the ability because, he's the type of running back that the Patriots don't necessarily have on the roster, and a guy who can be an every down running back, that he could be a day one starter. Now, next up here in the 5th round, the New England Patriots decided to not go special teams for once in the 5th and decided to go and get linebacker Cameron McGriff with the 177th pick overall. I think that this is another steal for the Patriots, and I think that's just been the name of the game for this year's draft is steal. You got to steal in the 2nd round. You got to steal in the 3rd round, and I think that you're getting a steal here in the 5th round. Cameron McGriff is a guy that definitely should have gone higher than the 5th, but because he did get injured in November, essentially I believe that is what dropped his stock down. I'm going to give this one a B+ for the Patriots. Again, really, really good value here for them, but like I mentioned, he did get injured just in November, so not even a year ago, and it's a very serious injury as he tore his ACL. Now, I have heard that the Patriots, Bill Belichick, they're going to take it slow with him. They're going to give him the very slow approach. I really honestly don't expect him to be there at mini camp, training camp, OTAs, none of that. And honestly, this could just be a season where the Patriots place him on IR. So we very might well not even see Cameron McGriff at all in his rookie season. If you also look up his stats, it's not really going to be anything special. He was more of an impact player that never really got the recognition he necessarily deserved. And because of that, those stats never really jumped off of the board. But, I think that with the right team, with the right development, he's going to be a guy that those stats definitely will jump off the board, especially with more opportunities. In Michigan, when you kind of are a linebacker especially, you don't really kind of get into the game until your junior to senior year. So Cameron McGriff wasn't given too many opportunities to, 1, develop, but 2, have those stats jump off the board. I said that I could potentially see him being the next Dante Hightower, a guy that is not great in coverage. At least we haven't seen anything great from him in coverage, and the PFF grades he got in coverage were not good at all. I talked about all of that in his draft profile. You guys can check that out if you would like to. But someone who is a hard hitter, who is very good at stopping the run, and has the ability to set the edge. The Patriots linebacker core is fairly crowded right now. I feel like, Cameron McGriff would have set more of a role as a pure linebacker, probably middle linebacker, inside linebacker rather than outside linebacker, and isn't necessarily someone who's constantly going to be setting the edge, which is why I think he would have gotten a little bit more play time. But like I said, I don't expect, or I wouldn't have expected him to get too much play time, just one, because of that injury, but two, because we are still fairly crowded there, because he is most likely to be redshirted for his rookie season. Maybe he becomes, a bigger priority down the road, maybe next year. The year after that, we see more of a Cameron McGriff because maybe some of the depth the Patriots currently have, the Patriots are comfortable with moving on from. All in all, though, I actually really do like Cameron McGriff. I had the Patriots taking him in one of my mock drafts early on. I believe I had them taking him in like the 3rd round. So really just an absolute steal for the Patriots here in the 5th. Now, next up here in the 6th round, this is going to be pick 188 overall. So this is the first of 2 6th-round picks the Pats have, and they drafted safety Joshua Baladzo from Missouri, again with the 188th pick. I'm going to give this one a B-. Some people might feel that's a little harsh. Some people might like this pick more than me. And hey, I really do hope that this pick does come out to be more than I'm expecting. But honestly, I really could see this being a situation where he maybe is more just so of a special teamer, and maybe he doesn't even make the roster. So if you saw my draft profile on him, which I talked a lot more in depth about with all of these guys, so I highly recommend you guys check those out if you haven't already. I'm not too high on Joshua Bledsoe. I do believe that there are some better guys that they could have gone with here. Now, he does have a really good size, as an above average size for a safety, so I do like that. Maybe they try him more at linebacker. Maybe they play him closer to the line and make him more in the box or a hybrid linebacker, something like that. He does bring some versatility. The Patriots could play him at strong safety. He also has played within the slot, so maybe they'll try to see what's best for him and try him in just a multitude of different areas. But he is someone who is not good in coverage. He has trouble with long-term ability. He also has issues with high pointing the ball, and just in general, very, very stiff in coverage. Not a great coverage safety at all. And like I said in my draft profile on him, if you're going to be a safety, if you're going to be a corner, your job is to cover. If you can't cover, what's the point in being a defensive back? So maybe the Patriots see something in him that I personally can't. I genuinely do hope that he becomes something for the Patriots, and I have full faith in, Bill Belichick and the coaching staff in being able to develop defensive backs, but just a lot of concerns for me that are coming off the board, which I talked about again in his draft profile for someone that is supposed to be a defensive back. So it's a B- for me. Now, next up here with the Patriots' last 6th-round pick in this draft, 197 overall, the Patriots finally drafted an offensive tackle in William Sherman. I'm going to give this one a B. I don't love the fact that the Patriots did wait so long to get an offensive lineman. Honestly, I thought Patriots would have went corner and tackle earlier on, but this definitely was a different approach by Belichick, kind of putting more value into talent and where they could get at their current spot in the draft rather than pushing for a need, which, hey, maybe it'll turn out to be really good. So I like the different approach, but we do need help in the long-term ability of offensive tackle. Pats did pick up the 5th-year option for Isaiah Wynn, but he has a lot of injury concerns, and can we get him locked up long-term? Trent Brown is also under a 1-year contract. You would have liked to see the Patriots get some, again, long-term ability help at offensive tackle. I do have faith in them drafting and developing offensive tackles here later in the draft. They seem to always be able to do it. And I like the potential of William Sherman, but I do feel that maybe he's a little bit smaller. I've heard some people say that maybe he is more of a guard than he is a tackle, and that this could either be a boom or bust pick. I think that's what it's going to be for the Patriots. I feel like if there's one player that I had to pick to be a boom or bust player, it would be William Sherman. I think that he's either going to translate to the NFL and he's going to be great, or he's not going to develop at all, and he's going to be, at best, a backup swing tackle. But he has good technique, he has good footwork, and the Patriots, Belichick, they really do seem to like those types of guys, so I think they got someone they feel that they can develop. And like I said, they're always able to develop offensive linemen and defensive backs, so I do have faith. And lastly, in the draft, this is going to be in the 7th round, pick 242 overall. The Patriots finally select a wide receiver in Trey Nixon. I'm going to give this one a B. I have mixed feelings on Trey Nixon. Obviously, the Patriots have had some success at drafting some late-round receivers. That doesn't happen too often, though. We cannot expect every single late-round pick for the Pats to end up being a franchise guy. Now, the Patriots did go a different direction with Trey Nixon than I would say they have with, I believe, majority of the receivers they've taken in the draft in the past, as he is not going to be a guy who gets open and has great separation based off of his cuts and his ability to be a route runner and good hands. Trey Nixon is fast. Trey Nixon is going to stretch the field for you. He's going to be a downfield threat. He's going to be a vertical threat for you. And the reason that he's going to get separation is not because of great footwork. It's not because he's able to juke out defenders. He's able to make quick feet move, compared to what the defensive backs are able to handle. He's going to get open because of his speed. Obviously, he's not coming from a big college either, from Central Florida, so you do have some concerns on, okay, is he going to be able to make that transition from a small college, small competition, to the biggest competition you could possibly receive in the NFL. You also have some concerns about his size. Now, he is 6 foot, so the Patriots can play him inside, and they can play him outside, so I do like that versatility, but he is a little bit smaller, so I have seen him get pushed around a little bit, and with, again, bigger competition, bigger size guys in the NFL, you have some concerns with that here, too. He also does have some concerns with his hands. He's not super reliable. He'll catch some, really great passes in traffic. He has soft hands, but he does have some issues with drops also. So, is he going to be a steal in the draft for the Patriots, or is he going to, at best, be a Philip Dorsett? All in all, though, I do like the fact that the Patriots did kind of go a different route with this type of wide receiver. They're trying to add speed. Maybe he makes the team because he has some special teams abilities. I'm sure Belichick will try him there. But definitely brings a lot of concerns, and I do believe if the Patriots didn't draft him, that he would have went undrafted. All in all, I'm going to give the Patriots an A- for this one. So I was going back and forth between A and A-, but I decided to go with an A- really because I feel every single year somebody says how I was too generous with these picks. So I believe that A- to an A is definitely the range that I would give the Patriots. They made some really great moves here. They condensed some of these picks. You got your future quarterback. You solidify your defense and your defensive line. You grab a really good running back. And the Patriots really just got a lot of steals in this draft. They got a lot of really great value. But I do believe that kind of once you hit that mid to later rounds is kind of where the question marks flowed in for me personally. But overall, that's what I'm going to give the Patriots for their 2021 draft class. What are your guys' thoughts, though? Let me know in the comment section below. This is definitely one of the best drafts, at least potential-wise, that the Patriots have had in several years. And again, I do believe that that is because they decided to go with pure value and talent rather than going for a need. What are your guys' thoughts on that, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to give this video a big thumbs up. Took a lot of time to make this video along with some thought process into it, of course. So it would mean the world to me if you guys gave this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and maybe shared it with some friends if you would like to. Like always, though, I appreciate you guys for each and every single video that you guys, are constantly watching. You guys are always liking and tuning into. Really appreciate it. We would be nothing without you guys. So I really I can't express enough how thankful I am for each and every single one of you. So, like always, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, each and every single one of you, and I'll catch you in the next video.